The placement of this mace opens the 16th commencement of the Uniformed Services, University of the Health Sciences. The USU mace is a generous gift of Dr. Sam Nixon and his wife, Elizabeth. Dr. Nixon was a member of the Board of Regents of this university from 1986 to 1992 and served as chair of the Board of Regents from 1988 to 1992. We are most indebted and appreciative to the Nixons for this wonderful gift.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the commencement ceremony of the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences class of 1995. You will remain standing, please, for the presentation of the colors by the Armed Forces Color Guard and the singing of the national anthem by senior class members of the Dermatones. The invocation will be delivered by Marion L. McKee, Senior Graduate Fellow, Department of Microbiology and Immunology. The Master of Ceremonies today is Dr. Michael Sheridan, Associate Dean of Graduate Education. Advance the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Oh, thus be it ere when free men shall stand between their loved homes and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must when our cause it is just, and this be our motto: in God is our trust. And the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Retire the colors.
I would like to first begin with a poem by my great-grandfather, the Reverend Professor W.H. Little, Living Usefully. It's from the passage, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. John chapter 9, verse 4. Man's life on earth is one short day, some 80 years or so. When these years pass, his time is up. He'll leave the world below. While here he has a work to do, this must he strive to find. If in his efforts he should fail, he'll then be left behind. Lord, help me to perform my work, not lose another day. It is not essential that I gain, money is not my pay. Throughout my days, help me to work until sunset draws near, that I my mission may fulfill and bring to others cheer. I yearn for thee with all my heart, I crave thy power and light, that grace and beauty I may spread, make many faces bright. Lord, crown the effort of my life that reaches out to thee, and fill my soul with joy and bliss until thy face I see. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we ask your presence among us today as we finish our journeys through medical and graduate school. We ask your continued presence in our lives as all of us embark on the exciting, yet sometimes overwhelming journey before us all. Our prayers are that we act to your service as we serve the people of your dominion in the capacities for which we have studied and trained so diligently. Father, help our hands work for good, not evil, and guide our hearts on the path of compassion for our fellow beings. We ask our prayer in your name. Amen.
I would like to thank the Armed Forces Color Guard and the United States Army Strings under the direction of Major Tony Kaysen, and our organist today, Mr. John Knapp. Ladies and gentlemen, I now present Dr. James A. Zimble, President, Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences.
I wish to welcome the members of the medical and graduate program classes of 1995, members of Congress, distinguished Department of Defense officials, members of the Board of Regents, flag and general officers, honored guests, faculty, families, and friends. It is my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Nancy E. Gary, Dean, F. Edward A. Baer School of Medicine, and Executive Vice President of the Uniformed Services University.
It is now my privilege to introduce Dr. Richard C. Reynolds, Executive Vice President of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the 1995 commencement speaker. Dr. Richard Reynolds began his professional career upon graduation from the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. Residency training in internal medicine was interrupted after 2 years when he was assigned by the U.S. Public Health Service to Mount Bethel, Alaska as a senior assistant surgeon. He was a member of the U.S. Public Health Service, Indian Health Service. Subsequently, Dr. Reynolds obtained additional graduate medical education in internal medicine, infectious diseases, and allergies at the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. Dr. Reynolds' experiences are varied, as are his achievements. After 9 years of private practice in Frederick, Maryland, he was appointed the director of the Division of Ambulatory Medicine and Community Programs at the University of Florida College of Medicine in Gainesville. 3 years later, he was named the founding chairman of the Department of Community Health and Medicine. In 1978, Dr. Reynolds was named acting dean of the University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey, Robert Wood Johnson Medical School. A year later, he was named the permanent dean. 5 years later, he was appointed the senior vice president for academic affairs for the University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey, while concurrently serving as dean of the Robert Wood Johnson Medical School. After nearly 3 decades in academic medicine, where his accomplishments were scholarly, scientific, but also characterized by the development of community health clinics, both in rural Florida and in the city of New Brunswick, New Jersey, the creation of environmental medicine and molecular biotechnology institutes at the Robert Wood Johnson Medical School, and enrichment of the academic programs both at the University of Florida and at the Robert Wood Johnson Medical School. Dr. Reynolds joined the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation as Executive Vice President. This foundation is one of the largest philanthropies in the world devoted to improvement of health care, particularly for the American public. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Dr. Gary. Members of the graduating classes, family, and friends. My remarks this morning are going to be an attempt to present a philosophy, a set of values that are applicable to all health-caring professionals. This will not be a talk on how we finance healthcare, how we improve access and delivery, how we allocate scarce resources, the pluses and minuses of managed care, and other contemporary subjects pertinent and important to healthcare reform. It is a commentary on the individual responsibility of health professionals. Each of you is a member of a uniformed service. At a time when it seems fashionable almost to be anti-government, you have chosen to serve your country. Patriotism and commitment to service are honorable efforts. And I want to recognize this and congratulate you for your service and sense of duty to country and profession. I know that this graduating class represents a mixture of physicians, scientists, public health professionals, and nurses. Most of my reflections, most of my stories, however, will relate to physicians. Medicine has been my world for over 4 decades, and I'll draw upon this background for today's talk. The comments, I believe, apply equally to any health professional engaged in caring for someone else. Today is special. It's very special. It is a day you will not forget, but you probably will remember little of the specifics, and believe me, even less the words spoken. And I can attest to this. It has been more than 40 years since I graduated from medical school. I don't remember a thing about the ceremony. I do recall standing with my parents at a postgraduate reception. Neither of my parents had finished high school, and they were sort of in awe and uncertain of the social settings. But like all parents, I know they were proud standing alongside of their robed son, and today your families will feel the same. There is no singular path to a health profession career. Each of you has your own story, your personal odyssey as to how you got here. For some, it was the frustration of watching the course of illness among a patient or a colleague, a relative. For others, it was the fascination of science and the opportunity to use it to relieve misery and suffering. And sometimes an earlier experience in nursing, social work, or other health-related activity fostered the urge in you to enter a field where you can help others. Perhaps one of your parents or a close relative was a physician, and this seemed to leave little choice but to follow their lead and pursue a medical career. I distinctly remember when I experienced my own revelation and decided to become a physician. I was a senior in high school, going through the motions of attending classes. My only distinction was I had for 2 years been the quarterback of the football team. And actually it was a record-breaking team, which I had led in 2 years to more losses than any other team in the school's history. And as far as I know, that record may still stand. Our home was not a bookish one. My older brother had gone to college, and one of the books assigned to him as a freshman was Sinclair Lewis's Aerosmith. I read his copy, and then A.J. Cronin's The Citadel, a popular novel of the time. Those 2 books instilled in me, for the first time, the idea of becoming a doctor. And I never changed my mind. I sort of wonder what your stories are. Growing up, I never knew any doctors. I do remember that the rare times my brother or I would be sick, enough for my parents to call our family physician, it usually was to confirm a diagnosis of measles or chickenpox or streptococcal infection, a diagnosis that only reaffirmed what my great aunt, who lived with us, had already suggested. And I recall the preparations made for the doctor's visit. This was an event in our household. The house was rapidly tidied, the bed sheets changed, and there were years when I thought one of the tasks of the doctor was to report to the community on the cleanliness of the bed linen. We know the style of medical practice is changing rapidly, and there are many reasons for this. Among them is the corporatism of healthcare, the growth of managed care, the prominence of technology with its spectacular accomplishments and its higher costs, demographic changes represented by the increased number of elderly citizens, and a concentration in our cities of poor populations badly underserved. But what does this mean to you today as you officially become members of a health profession? And let's pause for a moment on the word profession itself. Its Latin origin meant to declare aloud, to make a public avowal. In the 13th century, it entered English and its meaning focused on entry into a religious order. It was now a declaration of belief and an intent to practice a religiously determined way of life. In the 16th century, the word profession was applied to those who declared themselves possessed with skills to help others and included the professions of medicine or law or ministry or teaching. And in the 19th century, a profession, however, became any prestigious occupation, no longer a commitment or a public avowal to be of service to others. More than ever, we need to recapture and live the original spirit of the word profession. Now, physicians on entering medical school, throughout education, and on into everyday practice, make a personal and public commitment. A personal commitment to the individual patients and families they care for, a public commitment to the better health for all members of the society served. To exercise such a professional commitment requires a philosophy, a set of values, which underlies our membership in a caring profession. And I believe there is a trinity of values that each of you, all of us, needs to bring to the practice of our professions. And they are competency, trust, and charity. And your commitment to these values will determine the type of health professionals you are and the type you will remain. There is no substitute for professional competency. Competency in the knowledge of discipline, competency in the performance of practice. And we owe it to our patients to be competent in the practice of our profession and that we bring to our patients the knowledge and skill that we do have. And unfortunately, too many errors result from the failure to do what we know we should be done for the patient. And competency also requires awareness of one's limitations. To know when to seek help from others is an important measure of competency. Now, Margaret Mahoney, a former president of the Commonwealth Fund, in a recent essay about healers, wrote, and I quote, "The first task of any healer, sanctioned or unsanctioned, is to make the right diagnosis. To restore health or well-being, to strengthen balance and harmony, all healers must be able to identify the healthy state and any divergence from it. As one physician said, and she quoted, if you can't do that, nothing else that you do, not your good manners or your caring slow or your basic decency matters. You must strive to be competent." And I can still recall all too vividly a personal episode of my own sense of inadequacy, my lack of competence. In the middle of my residency training, I entered the public health service to fulfill my military obligation. And I was sent to Alaska as a physician in the Indian Health Service and ended up in the small Eskimo village of Bethel on the tundra of western Alaska. There was a small 50-bed hospital with a 3-physician staff serving some 8,000 Eskimos. Developed among our newborns a virulent form of diarrhea. None of us was a pediatrician. None of us were skilled or trained in this disorder. And try as we did, 6 infants died. I remember my own misery during this episode. Could I have helped these babies if I had been better prepared? I do not know for sure, but this realization of my incompetence, my sense of inadequacy in this situation has stayed with me. There is an expectation that each of you will, as a student, have spent the time necessary to achieve enough mastery of medical knowledge that will make possible your continuing education as a health professional. The public expects from us, but even more, we must expect from ourselves, the energy, the commitment to remain always a competent professional. In 1903, William Osler, really the maven of internal medicine, wrote an essay. It was called The Master Word of Medicine. It's no surprise the master word is work. Membership in the profession, the actual practice of medicine, but importantly, the duty of achieving and maintaining competency, it simply requires hard work. And today we're being held accountable by the public for proof of this competency as never before. Standards for relicensure and specialty recertification will become ever more demanding as the public continues to seek assurance that the health professional caring for them is able. The fundamental element of the doctor-patient relationship is trust. And this is true for any health caring professional. You serve as a trustee to the patient, making sure that the patients realize the best of medical and personal care that is appropriate for them. The trustee concept differs from advocacy, which seems almost without boundary, and trust implies a prudence of management and care. It is this erosion of trust between health professional and patient that is one of the great disappointments in today's practice. And part of this loss is the result of the fragmentation of care. The technical skills of many are often required to treat a patient, and too often no one person is taking the time to counsel the patient and family. And unquestionably, the high cost of health care and efforts to control these costs has made medical care seem like any other purchasable commodity. These and other factors have contributed to the erosion of the trust in doctor-patient relationship. The acceptance of a patient's trust, the sharing of your trust with a patient is always difficult. There is no formula for trust, and each patient in this regard is different. Sherwin Newland, a surgeon, tells a story that describes the difficulty of trust in his recent best-selling book, How We Die. It is the story of a 92-year-old woman residing in a senior citizens complex. She was infirm from arteriosclerotic obstruction of blood flow to her legs. She suffered from arthritis, but she was mentally alert. And one day she fell to the floor unconscious and was brought to the University Hospital where she first saw Dr. Newland. Responding to emergency treatment, she regained consciousness. The diagnosis was clear. She had perforated her digestive tract, and she would die without surgery. She told Dr. Newland she did not want an operation. She was alone, there was no next of kin. In her words to Dr. Newland, she said, "I have lived quite long enough, young man." And Dr. Newland was insistent, but frank in telling her that she had only one chance in 3 in surviving surgery. He said that was better than certain death. When he returned, not much later, the patient took his hand and said, "I'll do it, but only because I trust you." The patient survived the operation, had a painful, miserable postoperative course, and was obtunded most of the time. Once her tracheal tube was removed, now more alert, she scolded her surgeon for not being more honest about the pain she had suffered and told him she felt betrayed. She returned to her nursing home only to die 2 weeks later from a massive stroke. On reflection, Dr. Newland felt he had misplaced the patient's trust. Had he a chance to relive this episode and others like it, he said he would listen more to the patient and ask her to listen less to him. Listen more, talk less. Good advice, not only for the practice of medicine, but for the practice of everyday living. With the changing character of the social environment, it will be more difficult to maintain mutual trust in your relationships with patients. Doctors, for example, no longer have the independence of practice that they had 30 years ago, or even 5 years ago. Increasing numbers of physicians are employed, and the employer may have something to say about the doctor-patient relationships. A few years ago, a medical journal published essays by 2 physicians. One worked for an urgent center and one for an HMO. The doctor working at the urgent center was being criticized because he was not aggressive in ordering lab tests and procedures for his patients. The doctor practicing in the HMO felt pressure to minimize tests and consultations. Both of these postures are revenue-driven, and they make it difficult for the conscientious physicians to practice quality medicine, trustworthy medicine, considerate of actual patient needs. But that does not lessen or excuse the need for trust. Patients want to trust those who care for them. We need to accept their trust and respond with ours. Many times in the future, and some of you have experienced this already, when you have concluded your examination and analyzed the laboratory test, and you will interpret these so the patient can understand. You will outline various options for different courses of treatment or further studies. It is now decision time for the patient. What often happens, the patient looks at you and asks, "Doctor, what do you think I should do?" The patient is giving you his trust, and your response has to be worthy of his trust. There is no place to hide. In addition to our relationship with our individual patients, we all need to understand there is a public trust that complements personal trust. The public expects members of our professions to be concerned about national shortcomings in health care. And collectively, we must acknowledge that there are major problems in infant mortality, teenage pregnancy, substance abuse, violence, mental illness, problems that go beyond the limits of an individual's practice, but inescapable problems that impact on the health of the public. Doctors by themselves are not responsible for social problems, poverty, racism, access, cost, that contribute to many of our public health problems. Our public, however, expects us to have concern and to do our best individually and collectively to remedy those problems whenever and wherever we can. And if we can reclaim this public trust, we may experience an improvement in personal trust. Now, charity has been defined as benevolent goodwill toward or love of humanity. It represents helpfulness toward the needy and suffering. But somehow, to me, these definitions seem a bit stuffy. And charity has always been an important trait for members of all health professions. Physicians in the past, for example, felt a strong obligation to care for the poor and underserved. Doctors in practice only a few years ago would cover the emergency department of their community hospitals, continue to care for patients long after their private funds were exhausted, and they would staff many public clinics. Now, social legislation, particularly Medicare and Medicaid entitlements, which began in 1966, seemed for a while to make charity services less needed. And overall, this legislation has provided dignity to its beneficiaries and lessened some of the paternalism on the part of the physicians that sometimes occurred in the guise of charity. Unfortunately, there are in this country still over 41 million people with no health insurance, and the number keeps growing. Today, many health professionals working in large groups and for managed care organizations sometimes escape the contact of patients that are outside the framework of their practice and those that need some extra help. But charity, the giving of oneself and one's talents to the care of others, is a characteristic and obligation of any health professional. The demonstration of charity is different today, and it's more complicated than simply giving one's services in lieu of reimbursement. Today, it might embrace giving more of one's time to patients, a commitment to continue to see patients at home or nursing homes, and even a mindset to engage and support those social reforms that bring better health care to more people. And we should not ignore the charitable efforts that extend beyond the boundaries of the profession. I remember reading in the New York Times Sunday Magazine section some years ago a description of the surgical residency training. The reporter was making rounds with the surgical chief in his residence. They came to the bedside of an old man who had strength only to speak in a barely audible whisper. While the residents hovered at the bedside, restless and anxious to move on to the next patient, the chief of surgery went to his knees alongside the patient so he could place his mouth next to the ear of the patient, and the patient enabling him to hear what the patient was trying to say. Good patient care and active personal charity, sometimes they are the same thing. But a health profession without charity is less of a profession. And if we fail to provide charity in fact or in spirit, we too are less. Whenever a baseball or a football team is troubled by losing, the coach is asked, "What are you going to do to get the team back on track?" And the time-honored reply by the coach or manager is, "We've got to get back to the basics, to the fundamentals, and we've got to execute better." And in some way, that is the theme of this talk. We need to get back to the basics. It is time to reflect on what it means to be a health professional, a doctor or a nurse, and to try and understand as best we can how the individual work of a health professional meets with his patients and with society's expectations of what they want from those who care for them. As physicians, nurses, as ordinary people, we ponder, what do I give? What do I get in return? What will be my personal satisfactions? What are the professional expectations? What will be my task? These are not easy times. Ours is a sacred calling, but we practice in a secular world. Sometimes we cannot let ourselves be overwhelmed. To do so will, I am afraid, relegate our roles as health professionals to that of highly skilled technicians. To continue our work as professionals, we must make certain that the public believes we are truly concerned about their welfare. Francis Bacon said that every man is a debtor to his profession, and Francis Bacon is correct. Most of us have realized considerable payment from our lives as physicians, payment that goes far beyond income, payment that includes the gentle grasp of an elderly patient as we make our hospital rounds, payment that includes the sparkle of an eye of a patient whose hair loss is coincident with successful cancer chemotherapy, and payment that includes the gratitude of a spouse whose mate we have cared for through a terminal illness. We do owe our profession for these experiences. We are members of a bountiful profession, and this will not change. We need to be sure that we step back from time to time and realize the splendor that exists. As Dr. William Carlos Williams says, in the everyday work that is the real satisfaction of the practice of medicine. We do need a set of personal values. I have suggested 3: competency, trust, charity. You may choose others to stabilize our professional role in the changing, complex world we live in. Carola Eisenberg, a Harvard physician, says it this way: the satisfaction of being able to relieve pain and restore function, the intellectual challenge of solving clinical problems, and the variety of human issues we confront in daily clinical practice will remain the essence of doctrine, whatever the changes in organizational and economic structure of medicine. But the way we do this also counts. Medicine can now do more for patients. Practitioners have splendid opportunities to apply the products realized from the discovery of medical science. And they can participate if they wish in the amelioration of health problems besetting patients whose recovery may require the resolution of complex social problems. Even today, however, we still engage patients one at a time. A patient seeking help and our caring for the patient, that remains a constant. It is from this venture that we gain our rewards and define our values. This has not changed. Some words of Winston Churchill aptly fit our profession. And he said, one makes a living through one gets, but one makes a life through what one gives. In medicine, we can give a lot. The world of medicine is out there for you. Take a piece of it, but be sure to give something back. And while you're at it, have some fun. And thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds, for that inspiring reflections from your own career that hopefully will challenge the graduates today to enjoy their careers as obviously you have yours. Thank you. We have a little memento for you to remember the occasion of your address at the 16th commencement exercise.
It is my pleasure to present the Doctor of Science honoris causa to Dr. Richard C. Reynolds. And because of the long-standing professional relationship and the close personal friendship between our Dean and Dr. Reynolds, it's most appropriate for Dean Gary to read the citation.
Richard C. Reynolds, physician, scholar, educator, and humanitarian. You have devoted your professional life to the care of the ill, the education of medical students and physicians, and to the bettering of the health care of Americans. As a United States Public Health Service surgeon, you cared for Eskimos in the Alaskan tundra. Later, you practiced in suburban Maryland, and even later in rural clinics in Florida. You have made many major contributions to academic medicine in this country. As a foundation leader, you have used your wisdom, knowledge, and judgment to guide projects that will benefit all Americans through enhancement of medical education, improvement of medical care to the ill, and betterment of the lives of the disadvantaged. Throughout your life, you never lost focus on direct healthcare delivery, especially to the needy. William Carlos Williams, poet laureate and New Jersey physician, describes it in his essay, The Practice, the Essence of Medicine. Quote, "The calling on people at all times, under all conditions, the coming to grips with the intimate conditions of their lives, when they were born, when they were dying, watching them get well when they were ill, has always absorbed me." Your life's work shows that you too have been absorbed by the practice of medicine. Your personal values, ideals, and your professional integrity and conduct are an inspiration to your many patients, students, friends, and colleagues whose lives you have touched. You serve as a scholar physician for our students to emulate, and therefore we take pride in awarding you the degree Doctor of Science honoris causa.
And Dr. Reynolds, now that you have received a degree that entitles you to an honorary life membership in the USU Alumni Association. That gives you license to be part of our alumni, our family, and as president, it gives me license to send you a Dunning letter every year. It is my pleasure now to present the Doctor of Medical Jurisprudence, honoris causa, to the Honorable Strom Thurmond. Senator Thurmond, please join me at the lectern. Senator Thurmond, over 70 years ago, you unselfishly answered your nation's call for service. Since that time, your commitment to patriotism and concern for those who serve their nation has won you the undying respect of all Americans. Tens of thousands of soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines have benefited from your uncompromising commitment to excellence in military service and in particular, military medicine. To provide the care to those who serve when called is sometimes more perilous in the legislature than on the battlefield. You are a luminary of healthcare delivery in support of those who serve. Your vision has been tested and proven from the battlefields of Vietnam, Grenada, Lebanon, Panama, Haiti, Somalia, and the Persian Gulf to the clinics and health centers that serve the American people. Your spirit and humanity, together with your legislative acumen, have left a legacy for this nation which is unmatched and truly enviable. Through your efforts, this university is now part of that legacy. Doctors, nurses, scientists are now serving their nation because of your vision and commitment to purpose. Your nation's healthcare university takes great pride in awarding you the degree of Doctor of Medical Jurisprudence, honoris causa. Senator Thurmond, I want to thank you again in behalf of the university for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be with us today. Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure to present the Doctor of Military Medicine, honoris causa, to the Honorable Sam A. Nixon, former Chair of the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences Board of Regents. Dr. Nixon, please join us at the lectern. Sam Nixon, you are a pillar of modern medicine. For more than a half a century, your zeal, vision, and commitment to the highest ideals of excellence have irrevocably shaped the medical community in which we live. You have unselfishly given of your time to numerous professional medical organizations, and that effort has resulted in countless improvements in the quality of medical care rendered to our patients, as well as the true efficiency in medical education. You wove an intricate tapestry of medical innovation and efficiency with principles of service and commitment of purpose. As chairman of the Board of Regents, you have been a luminary to all of us, and the course that you have charted brought us through some of the most trying times in the history of this university. We are today at the threshold of a new era in medical delivery. Through your leadership, military medical systems are now strong and in the forefront of this medical revolution. Today, healthcare providers serving our nation around the world do so as a direct result of your commitment to excellence in education and purpose. We are unique in our purpose and unique to have Sam Nixon, a true medical visionary, as our mentor. Your university takes great pride in awarding you the degree of Doctor of Military Medicine, honoris causa. Sam, don't go away before I can give you the lifetime membership in our Alumni Association. And you can expect a letter from us every year. I'll pay the dues.
It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Faye G. Abdullah, Acting Dean, Graduate School of Nursing.
On behalf of the Graduate School of Nursing, I am honored to present the first Graduate School of Nursing Outstanding Student Awards to Commander Helen G. Golden and Lieutenant Victoria Lynn Anderson.
The first Graduate School of Nursing Outstanding Student Awards will be presented to Commander Helen Golden and Lieutenant Victoria Anderson. These awards are given for overall outstanding achievements in academics, clinical practice, and nursing research, having achieved the highest level of professional competence in fulfilling one's responsibilities in caring for patients. Both students will also receive charter student certificates in recognition of their participation in the first class of the Graduate School of Nursing. Commander Golden, please come forward. Lieutenant Anderson, please come forward.
It's with great pleasure that I introduce the Honorable Stephen C. Joseph, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Health Affairs, the Honorable Everett Alvarez, Jr., Chairman of the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences Board of Regents, and Dr. James A. Zimble, President of the University, to confer the Graduate School of Nursing degrees.
Mr. Alvarez, on behalf of the faculty of the Graduate School of Nursing, I recommend to you that the degree of Master of Science in Nursing be conferred on 2 individuals.
By virtue of the authority vested in the university by the Congress of the United States, and upon recommendation of the faculty and acting dean, Graduate School of Nursing, I hereby confer the degree of Master of Science on these 2 individuals.
Lieutenant Victoria Len Anderson, Master of Science in Nursing. Commander Helen Jean Golden, Master of Science in Nursing. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Lindquist, the graduate student representative, will present the graduate student farewell address.
Honored guests, faculty and staff, family and friends, fellow graduates. I have the honor of making some remarks on behalf of the graduate fellows who today are receiving their degrees. The term commencement implies a beginning, an initiation. The degrees awarded today represent the culmination of much hard work and intellectual endeavor, not only on the part of the graduates, but also of the faculty, the staff, and our families. However, these degrees are just a beginning. Now most of us will leave the educational system as consumers and will travel the various pathways that our professional interests and fortunes lead. It is important at this juncture to reflect on the significance of the education that we have received. Our education sets us apart from the graduates of other institutions. It would be impossible to attend this university and not be impressed at the commitment to public service and duty held by the educators here. Ideals of service to the nation and humanity are often expressed in institutions. The difference here at the Uniformed Services University is that these ideals are demonstrated concretely daily and are coupled with a commitment to excellence and a willingness to help others beyond what is normally expected. The people who form this university have chosen to dedicate a large part of their lives to public service and strive to fulfill that commitment. As students of the Uniformed Services University, we saw examples of individuals at all levels who have dedicated their lives to public service. From career military officers dedicated and decorated in service to their country, to scientists recognized around the world as leading experts in their fields, to staff who went out of their way to help ensure our success. We have been in daily contact with these people and have learned from them. The difficulty for those of us receiving our degrees is to carry these principles with us throughout our careers. That is why commencement is a proper term for this ceremony. From today, we begin this journey. We also begin to represent the Uniformed Services University. We will be seen as a reflection of this university, and the university will be judged by our accomplishments. It is our turn to continue building the reputation of the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences as a quality institution that produces excellent scientists and healthcare professionals, notable not only for academic and technical expertise, but also for dedication to public service. We must begin this journey confident in the skills and knowledge that we have acquired, but must always guard against complacency and continuously seek opportunities for self-improvement. It is only by zealously striving for improvement that we may hope to do justice to this university community and to the values that they have attempted to instill in us. Our striving for excellence is the most important step to begin to repay those who have educated us. And so, to the faculty and staff of the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences, thank you. To our family and friends, thank you also for your patience, kindness, and support. A special thank you to my parents, my sister, and my lovely wife, Wantana, whose loving support has allowed me to be here today. And finally, to my fellow graduates, best wishes as we begin again today.
Dean Gary, please come forward to present the first USUHS Graduate Fellow Service Award. The Graduate Fellow Service Award is given to the Graduate Fellow for outstanding and exceptional service rendered to the student body, medical school, and university. This award is given to recognize the recipient's active participation in university and medical school committees, participation in the academic and intellectual life of the academic community, and contributions to the welfare and morale of other graduate fellows and students at the medical school. This year's recipient served as a member of the Graduate Education Committee for 2 academic years, representing the graduate student body in that setting, reflecting their interest and concerns. He was a major participant in the planning, arranging, and presenting the 1992 and 1993 Graduate Research Colloquia. In 1993, the university underwent reaccreditation review by the Commission on Higher Education of the Middle States Association of Colleges and Schools. This individual was a major participant in carrying out and helping with the finalization of the institutional self-study. The university received full reaccreditation from the Commission for the maximum allowable period. While he served as president of the graduate student body, he was actively involved in arranging social gatherings for the graduate students, and he played an important role in welcoming activities for the incoming students each fall. We're pleased to recognize the contributions of Alan Lindquist by presenting him with the first Graduate Fellow Service Award. Alan, congratulations. Please come forward to accept your award. Mr. Alvarez, on behalf of the faculty of the graduate program, the Dean of the F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine recommends to you that the degree Doctor of Philosophy be conferred on 14 individuals. Will the candidates please rise?
By virtue of the authority vested in the university by the Congress of the United States, and upon recommendation of the faculty and Dean, F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine, I hereby confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and its attendant privileges and responsibilities.
Alan G. Albright, Doctor of Philosophy, Microbiology, and Immunology. Carrie Joy Craig, Doctor of Philosophy, Medical Psychology. Wanti Kantakamalakul, Doctor of Philosophy, Microbiology, and Immunology. June Lee, Doctor of Philosophy, Preventive Medicine. Alan Lindquist, Doctor of Philosophy, Preventive Medicine. Genoa Liu, Doctor of Philosophy, Microbiology and Immunology. Tina Wenderlin McIntyre, Doctor of Philosophy, Pathology. Marion Little McKee, Doctor of Philosophy, Microbiology and Immunology. Linda Eileen Niebel, Doctor of Philosophy, Medical Psychology. Laura Snyderman Redwine, Doctor of Philosophy, Medical Psychology. Timothy James Shane, Doctor of Philosophy, Anatomy and Cell Biology. Xiaoxi Wang, Doctor of Philosophy, Microbiology and Immunology. Jing Zhang, Doctor of Philosophy, Physiology. Shun Zhao, Doctor of Philosophy, Biochemistry. Mr. Alvarez, on behalf of the faculty of the graduate program, the Dean of the F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine recommends to you that the degree Master of Public Health be conferred on 23 individuals. Will the candidates please rise?
By virtue of the authority vested in the university by the Congress of the United States, and upon recommendation of the faculty and Dean, F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine, I hereby confer the degree of Master of Public Health with its attendant privileges and responsibilities.
Captain James William Allen, Master of Public Health. Lieutenant Commander John Balix, Master of Public Health. Lieutenant Jan Boujon, Master of Public Health. Judith Chamberlain, Master of Public Health. Commander Marlene Natasha Cole, Master of Public Health. Dr. Emily Florio, Master of Public Health. Beverly Albrecht Galaresi, Master of Public Health. Dr. Tomoko Hooper, Master of Public Health. Major David Lanier Jones, Master of Public Health. Lieutenant Commander Bill Caritas, Master of Public Health. Susan Claire Lang, Master of Public Health. Major Peter B. Mapes, Master of Public Health. Lieutenant Commander Wayne Z. McBride, Master of Public Health. Dr. Carolyn Ann Anderson McCloskey, Master of Public Health. Colonel Jacqueline Morgan, Master of Public Health. Lieutenant Commander Sterling Scott Sherman, Master of Public Health. April Patricia Smith, Master of Public Health. Lieutenant Commander William Joseph Swartworth, Master of Public Health. Cynthia Regina Toll, Master of Public Health. Major Terry J. Walters, Master of Public Health. Lieutenant Colonel Sandra Wilcox Riggs, Master of Public Health. Dr. April Denise Yancey, Master of Public Health. And Commander Jeff Yund, Master of Public Health. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to that portion of the ceremony devoted to the graduates who will receive the degree of Doctor of Medicine. 8 of these graduates have won special recognition for their scholarship, professionalism, and public service. We will now present these awards. The citations will be read by Dr. Randall Holmes.
The Board of Regents Award is the highest honor a graduating senior can receive. Second Lieutenant James Alton Sebesta, United States Army Reserve, please come forward. The recipient has a record of truly outstanding academic performance and has shown the concern and care for patients, the investment in the social and intellectual aspects of medicine, and the devotion, empathy, dedication, and personal commitment required of a physician. He has proven his capability for hard work, both as an individual and as a team member, and he has performed at the highest levels of duty and honor expected of a commissioned officer, with pride in his accomplishments and with confidence for an outstanding future career. The Board of Regents is pleased to make its award for 1995 to Second Lieutenant James Alton Sebesta, United States Army Reserve. The Society of Medical Consultants to the Armed Forces has established an award to be given annually to a graduate of Uniformed Services University F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine. This year, the award will be presented by Dr. James A. Zimble to Second Lieutenant John Bentley Woods, United States Air Force Reserve. Second Lieutenant Woods, please come forward. The Society of Medical Consultants to the Armed Forces Award is presented to the graduating senior who has achieved the highest level of academic performance. As class valedictorian, your commitment to academics has been commendable. The Society of Medical Consultants to the Armed Forces is pleased to present this award for 1995 to Second Lieutenant John Bentley Woods. The Association of Military Surgeons in the United States has established an award to be given annually to a graduate of the Uniformed Services University F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine. The award consists of a lifetime membership in the association, a plaque, and a check. This year, the award will be presented by Dr. James A. Zimble, President, Uniformed Services University of the Health Services, to Second Lieutenant Neil E. Page, United States Army Reserve. Second Lieutenant Page, please come forward. The Association of Military Surgeons of the United States Award is presented to the graduating senior who has best demonstrated the highest qualities of leadership and academic involvement. Second Lieutenant Page has demonstrated concern and commitment to the health of people and care of the sick and injured. He possesses the social and interpersonal skills required to gain the respect, trust, and confidence of patients, superiors, peers, and subordinates. With pride in his accomplishments and with confidence for an outstanding future career, on behalf of the Association of Military Surgeons of the United States, we are pleased to present this award for 1995 to Second Lieutenant Neil E. Page, United States Army Reserve.
It is now my pleasure to introduce the Surgeons General who will present the award for their respective service. These awardees have been selected by the faculty in recognition not only of their outstanding academic performance, but also for their demonstrated commitment toward enhancing the goals of their respective service in an exemplary manner. Major General Ronald R. Blank, Commander, Walter Reed Army Medical Center, representing the Surgeon General of the Army, will present the Army Surgeon General's Award.
On behalf of the Army Surgeon General, Lieutenant General Alcide Lanoux, it is my pleasure to award the Army Surgeons General Award to Second Lieutenant David Allen Dorsey, United States Army Reserve.
Vice Admiral Donald F. Hagen, Medical Corps, Surgeon General of the United States Navy, will present the next award.
It is my pleasure as Surgeon General to present the U.S. Navy Surgeon General's Award to Ensign Margaret T. Dupree, United States Naval Reserve.
Lieutenant General Edgar R. Anderson, Jr., Medical Corps, Surgeon General of the Air Force, will present the next award.
It is my great pleasure to present the United States Air Force Surgeon General's Award to Second Lieutenant Robbie Clark Riddle, United States Air Force.
Rear Admiral Audrey Manley, Acting Surgeon General of the United States Public Health Service, will present the next award.
It is my pleasure to present the Public Health Service Surgeon General's Award to Ensign Patricia Ann Berry, United States Public Health Service.
Mr. Alvarez will now present the William P. Clements Jr. Award and the Outstanding Civilian Educator Award. The citations will be read by Dr. William Drucker. The William P. Clements Jr. Award will be presented to Colonel John P. Fogarty, Medical Corps, United States Army.
The William P. Clements Award is given annually at each of the service academies to that uniformed service faculty member chosen by the students as their best teacher. The award, donated privately, bears the name of a public service servant, twice governor of the state of Texas, who during tenure as Deputy Secretary of Defense had a keen interest in the education of those who serve the nation. Colonel John P. Fogarty, Medical Corps, United States Army, was chosen as this year's recipient of the Clements Award as a uniformed services faculty member whose personal example and performance best characterized the examples of excellence in education. Colonel Fogarty, please come forward. Colonel Fogarty, got him out early. Colonel Fogarty has consistently sought to inspire students to high levels of academic accomplishment in his role as professor of the Department of Family Practice. The Board of Regents of the Uniformed Services University of Health Sciences take pleasure in endorsing the decision of its students by bestowing upon Colonel John P. Fogarty, Medical Corps, United States Army, the William P. Clements Jr. Award.
The Outstanding Civilian Educator Award will now be presented to Dr. Donna M. Wechter.
The Outstanding Civilian Educator Award is given annually to the civilian faculty member chosen by the students as the individual who has most effectively conveyed academic excellence, intellectual stimulation, and dedication to students. Dr. Donna M. Wechter, Assistant Dean for Medical Education, Associate Professor of the Department of Psychiatry, and Assistant Professor of Clinical and Medical Psychology, was chosen as this year's recipient. Dr. Wechter, please come forward. Dr. Wechter has demonstrated the ability to inspire medical students toward the pursuit of professional and medical excellence. She has given untiringly of herself to encourage students to become the best physicians they can. Dr. Wechter, the students give you this award with great pleasure and respect. We are certain that future recipients will be honored to share the Civilian Faculty Award for Excellence in Education with you. The Esprit de Corps. This award recipient is selected annually by the members of the graduating class to recognize one of their own. The name of the recipient has been kept secret until this moment. It will be presented by Dr. Richard McDonald, Associate Dean for Student Affairs, and Colonel Donald Steinweg, Assistant Dean for Clinical Sciences. The Esprit de Corps Award recognizes that individual in the graduating class who by thought, word, action, and deed demonstrates sensitive humanistic qualities of compassion, caring, and concern for the well-being of all. This classmate is our colleague and friend, and by example has inspired us all in our enjoyment of each other, our profession, and our commitment to a life of service to mankind. Ensign Christine Georgianne Casey, United States Public Health Service.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the president of the medical class of 1995. As his last official act in his present grade, Second Lieutenant Brian Tonkinson, United States Army Reserve, will present the medical class farewell address.
Dr. J. Sanford, Dr. Reynolds, Board of Regents, President Zimble, Dean Gary, distinguished congressmen, visitors, and faculty. Welcome to the 16th annual USU graduation. I am proud to have been empowered to give this farewell address for the F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine, class of 1995. I think that Dr. Joy would agree that Cornelius Edmund Page said it best. We have waited for this moment all of our lives. Today we are proud to share this moment with you. My goal is to reflect on our past in order to show that through our actions we have paid thanks to you all. Becoming a medical doctor is a long and tenuous process, which begins with a dream. The dream develops through interactions between our wonderfully supportive parents, husband and wife, mother and father, brothers and sisters, step-parents, in-laws, and children. Others include mentors, teachers, and friends. These are the people in this auditorium today. As we grow, that support is reflected by achieving intermediate goals, doing well in high school, on the SAT and ACT examinations, in college, and then on the MCAT examination. The dream grows within each one of us. Then come the interviews, and finally, acceptance to medical school. For some of us, this route included yielding of other successful careers. The class of 1995 has prior military officers, enlisted members, combat veterans, fixed wing and helicopter pilots, veterinarians, scientists, engineers, businessmen, nurses, and healthcare paraprofessionals. Why did these individuals select this medical school? Some say the salary, but our class knows. The reason is patriotism and sense of service. We have contracted the largest commitment to government service possible in this country. We have freely accepted this commitment to better ourselves and to serve our citizens. I know that some of your concerns were that your children would become military robots, having attended a military school. By now you have realized these concerns are unfounded. However, for the record, Bob came to us the way he is. After acceptance to medical school comes the wonderful response, "Yes, I'm in." Quickly followed by, "What do I do now?" With these varied backgrounds, we came to USUS with an idea to give back some of what it would give to us. This is a snapshot of how that went. In our first year, while learning the new language of medicine, Vince and Judy created the school alma mater. Neil helped the Alumni Association get on its feet and began the Cup and Flower Fund. Many of us marketed the university at the National Mall and at the Andrews Air Show, doing blood pressure checks. Doug created a high school NASA Space Camp scholarship. Chris helped us in the anatomy lab and developed operation appreciation for our faculty. Dave began Officer's Call. Teresa ran the Shepherd's Table, free clinic for the homeless. Joe ran our chapter of the Student National Medical Association, and Pat edited the Journal of Military Medical Student Association. We remember our anatomy lab groups, the memorial service for our first patients, the cadavers who taught us so much. Laura, Sarah, Bob, and Joe, and their medical problems during that year. Colonel Walcott for his wisdom and his 3 axes of military medical officership. Dr. Wechter for helping those of us having difficulty adjusting to medical school. Post-training in Jeff's Airborne Bear. Summer training at Quantico. Frank's helmet. Learning medicine in austere conditions, Dr. Hagman, OEMS, and our summer military experience. Second year, illness. Learning what can go wrong with the human body. Perry took the helm of our class and introduced the class of 1996 to USUS with the challenge of continuing our momentum, which they have. And I began a long journey differentiating between entitlement and empowerment. Pat secured the traditional ring design. Troy and Tony developed the class coin. Eric and Judy revived FedMed Follies talent show. Kevin began Toys for Pediatrics Patients program. Sean and Sean ran post-training for the class of 1996. We remember our PATH lab groups. Tests, tests, and more tests. Part 1 of the boards, with the best pass rate in USUS history. We thank Vince for all of his work getting us there. Maureen and Dave's lottery and the 3rd-year rotation scheduling. 3rd and 4th years. On-the-job training for medical students. Jim took over and created the Heads Up program for our rotations. Kurt directed the graduation committee who made this great week possible. The threat of closing USUS renewed, and our successful response to that. We thank you for your letters of support for our program. Your actions forced legislators to take a hard look at the university and appreciate its unique product. We remember delivering babies, scrubbing on surgery, healing disease, making diagnosis, just sitting with lonely patients trying to console their fears. Our first patients who died. For me, it was Leroy. We remember Bushmaster, the long, cold, hard days and nights of bringing together 4 years of education and the best friendships of our lives. Call nights with no sleep for 30+ hours. Sacrifice, sacrifice, and continued sacrifice of our families. Always coming home frustrated and spent. Some months never seeing the sun or our children. And finally, looking for parking. And now, we look at the sunset of our realized dream and say, yes, what do I do now? I don't know. But as we speak, America's bravest young men and women are enlisting in the armed forces and entrusting their health to us. And for every act of valor, there is the thought that a military dock will be there, and we will. We, the class of 1995, are here for our patients, for our families, for our Constitution. We are here for our nation's lives. Thank you.
Mr. Alvarez, on behalf of the faculty of the F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine, the Dean recommends to you that the degree of Doctor of Medicine be conferred on the 157 members of the 1995 graduating class. Will the candidates please rise?
By virtue of the authority vested in the university by the Congress of the United States, and upon the recommendation of the faculty and Dean, F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine, I hereby confer the degree of Doctor of Medicine with its attendant privileges and responsibilities.
Michael Todd Adams. Vanita Ahuya. Saket Kumar Ambasht. Eric Joseph Ashman. Chad Michael Bosson. Matt Allen Baptista. Vincent John Barnhart. John Patrick Barrett. Joseph Pacifico Barrion. James David Berry. Anthony Adam Beardmore. Patrick James Bennett. Patricia Ann Berry. Todd Mitchell Bertosh. Frank Michael Bishop. Jeffrey Warren Bitterman. Jeffrey Godfrey Blue. John Fitzgerald Bogard. James Edwin Boyd. Paul Charles Burney. Thatcher Royal Cardun. Lisa Maria Cartwright. Victoria Wheeler Cartwright. Christine Georgianne Casey. Alexander B. Chow. Stephen L. Clark. Christine Jarrell Sandall Clark. George Andrew Clark. Michael E. Campaggi. John Andrew Craddock. Scott Michael Kroll. Jim Dwayne Crowley. Eric Allen Dahl. Judith Kalita Denton. Maria Renee Doria. David Allen Dorsey. William Howard Dunn, Jr. Margaret Toshie Dupree. John Scott Earwood. Mary Ellen Earwood. Karen Christine Evans. Edward Michael Falta. John Wade Faught. Elizabeth Ferrara. Stephen L. Ferrara. Roger Keith Fincher. Mark H. Fogelson. Jerry Richard Foltz II. Quentin James Franklin. Jeffrey J. Freeland. Dominic Rudolph Gallo. Michael Roger Goran. Joseph Michael Goburn. James D. Grady. Scott Douglas Greenwald. Melanie Lynn Guerrero. Leonard L. Hall. John David Hallgren. James L. Hancock. James Merriman Harris. Scott Allen Hartwick. Derek Gary Hebert. Kurt Samuel Hensel. Kurt H. Hildebrandt. Mark Allen Hinton. Curtis R. Holt. Michael David Huber. Kimberly L. James. Troy Robert Johnson. Sean F. Kane. Sean Keenan. J. Daniel Caressman. Rex Allison Kitely II. Thomas Edward Kolkebeck. Christopher E. Cordana. Michael R. Catullus, Jr. Susan Marie Krizak. Jennifer Lynn Lapointe. William David Leonard. Gregory S. Lepkowski. Anthony Charles Luttrell. Jamil Ayub Malik. Stephanie Elizabeth Markman. Melissa Ann Meyer. Melissa Ann Mayer. Michael Scott Meyer. Jessica Temple Mitchell. Robert Matthew Monberg. Kevin E. Moore. Kimberly A. Moran. Joseph Anthony Munaretto. Elizabeth G. Byer-Nolan. Anthony Brian Ochoa. Stephen Leonard Olson. Kristen Ann Overstreet. Mark D. Packer. Neil E. Page. Eric L. Pagenkopf. Mary Virginia Parker. Pierre Alfred Pelletier. Theron Mark Pettit. Maximilian Solka. Stephen Enum Rasmussen. Stephanie Denise Redding. David P. Regis. Dana K. Renta. Robbie Clark Riddle. Scott Allen Reese. David E. Ristet. Douglas Michael Rouse. Elizabeth Lee Aldrich Rouse. Douglas J. Rolls. Eric Scott Sawyers. Larry R. Schatz. Colette Clee Schurer. Mark Matthew Schurer. Darlene Peggy Schultz. George Richard Scott Sr. Stephen Roger Sears. James Alton Sebesta. Elizabeth C. Shannon. John Robert Sherrick. Peter Randolph Silvera. Gary Harold Simons III. Darrell E. Singer. Teresa M. Skojak. Daniel Thomas Smith. Gregory Robert Sperling. Michael D. Stevens. Alexander Edward Stewart. Maureen Hefferon Sweezy. Stephen James Tanksley. Anthony Andrew Terreri. Joseph Gabriel Thomas. Stephen Kenneth Tobler. Michael Edgar Tote. Brian Windus Tonkinson. Rolando Torres. Lad Alex Tremaine. Charles Albert Tujo. Dawn Sherry Youthall. Bonnie Carol Vanderslies. James Frederick Varese. Paula M. Wallace. David M. Wallace. Michael J. Waltz. Charles Nephi Webb. Peter Wetgler. Jeffrey Scott Weiss. Robert Brian Wenzel. Bradford P. Whitcomb. Jason Scott Wyman. Perry Neal Willett. Matthew Paul Wanacott. Catherine Ludina Woodhouse. John Bentley Woods. Ronald Norman Wohl. Randall Curtis Zernzak.
As the last medical degree recipient left the stage, the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences has graduated 2,148 medical officers to join the ranks of the Army, Navy, Air Force, and U.S. Public Health Service medical departments. Additionally, with those receiving Master's and Doctor of Philosophy degrees today, 405 graduate degrees have been conferred.
Members of the medical school class of 1995, you swore the oath of Hippocrates as you entered this medical school 4 years ago, and it has guided your conduct as students of medicine. Please stand now, raise your right hand, and swear it again so that it may guide you in your practice as physicians. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will be loyal to the profession of medicine and just and generous to its members. That I will lead my life and practice my art in uprightness and honor. That into whatsoever home I shall enter, it shall be for the good of the sick and the well, to the utmost of my power. And that I will hold myself aloof from wrong and from corruption and from the tempting of others to vice. That I will exercise my art solely for the cure of my patients and the prevention of disease, and will give no drugs and perform no operation for a criminal purpose, and far less suggest such thing. That whatsoever I shall see or hear of the lives of men, which is not fitting to be spoken, I will keep secret. These I do promise. And in proportion as I am faithful to this oath, may happiness and good repute be ever mine. The opposite if I shall be forsworn. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, having received their doctoral and master's degrees, the members of the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences class of 1995 have returned in their service dress to receive their oaths as commissioned officers. The Surgeons General will now commission the graduates in their respective branch of service.
Army graduates, please stand. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations.
Stand proudly, Navy. Please raise your right hand and follow me. I state your name, please. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. Remember what President Kennedy said: I served in the United States Navy. Congratulations.
Air Force officers, please stand. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Having been appointed an officer of the United States Air Force Medical Service, do swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations. We are really proud of you. The future of Air Force medicine is in great hands.
United States Public Health Service graduates, please stand. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do accept such appointment and do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the singing of the benediction by the Dermatomes and remain standing for the singing of the Alma Mater.
Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever wilt be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
Please join the USU Choral Group, the Dermatomes, in singing the F. Edward A. Bear School of Medicine Alma Mater. The words of the Alma Mater are on page 6 of your program. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our commencement ceremony. Please remain in your seats until the recessional is completed. Thank you.